Okay, once again, welcome everybody. This is MELS 601, Dr. Todd's class, and it is October the 3rd, and we are meeting for our clinical coach session. This evening on the agenda, I want to review TaskStream and introduce some new components of TaskStream, and that will kind of be the last of the doors yet to be unopened. So after we finish tonight, you will have been oriented to everything. No more surprises that I know of or that I can think of. We'll also talk about ABSL 4. Has Dr. Todd shared with you ABSL 5, or has she just spoke to you about ABSL 4? I'm seeing some nods, so she has spoke to you about ABSL 4 and 5? Okay, yeah. Great, because I really needed you to have some knowledge of ABSL 5 before I get into some of the other components of TaskStream. So that's great news. So I'll tell you what, let's just kind of do a review on that real quick. If I can find, let's see what I did. Here it is. Okay, as you know, in ABSL 4, at 1 through 3, formed your PLC, did a needs assessment, did a research on some evidence-based practices that will help you with the gap that was identified in your needs assessment, and kind of pulled everything together, picked a strategy or strategies that you believe will have a positive impact on the need that you identified. So in task 4 is just a formalization of that plan, an action plan. So you'll get your group together and you're going to form an action plan, how to utilize these strategies, evidence-based strategies that you and your PLC team determined, and then you're just going to kind of work that plan up. Now, after you work the plan up, you're basically done for now with the ABSL as far as you have everything you need to implement the ABSL at your school. All that's left now is ABSL Task 5. And ABSL Task 5, the majority of the last task in the evidences throughout this program is going to carry with it this same type of rubric, and that's just a reflection. That's a cause for you as the candidate to go back and think about all the experiences that you've had in the program, the experiences and knowledge that you gained through the course content, the experiences and knowledge that you gained working on the ABSL or whatever evidence you may be on, depending on what course you're in, 601 through 605, and also to kind of reflect on some of those internship opportunities, those clinicals that you've done and experienced at your site as well. And in doing that, you're going to look through all the experiences that you gained through this semester in 601, and you're going to say, okay, what leadership competencies have I experienced, or how have I grown in leadership and some of the different competencies? And I'm sure that Dr. Todd shared with you for the ABSL. If you'll scroll back up to your handbook to the very beginning, here are the competencies listed for 601, and it says ABSL requires evidence of competency in the following 8 areas, with an additional 4 competencies to be selected by the candidate. So you're going to do 12 altogether. Here are the ones that you must address. And just for the very nature of going through the ABSL, some of the course content and what Dr. Todd has shared with you in your coursework, and the case studies, the discussion, the different discussion boards that you had, and also your leadership opportunities through your clinicals, you should have had an opportunity to gain in some of these leadership competencies and be able to kind of talk about that. What have you gained? What reflect on that as a reflective practitioner? You reflect on that, and just in terms of how has my leadership grown, or what opportunities have I had to exhibit these different leadership competencies. And that's kind of task 5. Now, bear in mind, the competencies, it can be a little confusing, especially right out the gate in 601. But the competencies that you reflect on in task 5, they're connected, but they're kind of not connected to some things in task stream. We're going to get into that in a minute, and I'll share with you, where's the connection and where the connection is not. But remember, as you're exhibiting these leadership competencies, just for the very nature of you doing something, investing the time and the energy, you are going to and already have created artifacts. We've had that conversation before in some of the other sessions. So those artifacts are a tangible representation of your skills in these leadership competencies. So just kind of lay that in your mind, plant that seed. And before we move out of this and get into task stream, does anybody have any questions that I can help you with as far as task 4 and task 5 goes? Okay, so I'm going to leave the ABSL task 4 and task 5, and we're going to move into task stream. And we're going to do a little review, and I'm not trying to insult your intelligence or anything like that. I just believe in repetition until you kind of get this routine down pat. Now, just pause for a moment to make sure nobody had any questions. Okay, if you do have a question, feel free to unmute and let me know, or type it into the chat box. I'll monitor that as we go forward. We're going to get into task stream. Okay, so as you know, when the ABSL is polished up and you do the turn it in, and Dr. Todd says, hey, this is great stuff, send it to task stream. Okay, well, if you remember, within task stream, you have 2 compartments that you work with. One is the DRF, the direct response folio, and the other is the competency folio. Mine looks different than yours just because of the different rights that I have as a task stream user. But in the DRF, yours is going to look, I'm going to pull this example up that I did last spring. Yours is going to look like this. And you're going to work within this. This isn't going to change throughout the whole program. When you finish an evidence, whether it's the ABSL this semester or the APTEL next semester, when you get ready to submit it to task stream, this is where you submit it to. Get your ABSL and you submit it here. And you submit it for evaluation, and the evaluator is going to evaluate that. They're going to give it a score of 3 or 4, 3 being proficient, 4 being accomplished. If for some reason you get a score below 3 on this, they're going to give you feedback and suggestions for improvement. If that happens, which I don't think it will with this group, this is a really good group. But if for some reason it does happen, get in contact with me immediately, and I will work with you to get, if it's below a 3, I'll work with you to get it from a 3 up to a 4. Now, Dr. Bullis, what if I get a 3.5 and I really wanted a 4? I am sorry, be happy with the 3.5. And I'm going to ask you to make sure everybody's muted because I'm getting some feedback here. Let's make sure we're all muted. There we go. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So Dr. Bullis, I got a 3.5 on my ABSL and I was wanting a 4. I'm going to die if I don't get a 4. Well, you know, I love you, but be happy with the 3.5 or the 3.2 and move on. At the end of the day, I've been in education for 26 years. I was a principal for double-digit years, 10, I think. I've been with Gardner-Webb for 13 years, so I have done a lot of interviewing. I have hired a lot of people. I have never asked anybody what they scored first semester of their master's or their graduate program. So I commend you for wanting a 4, and that's great. But if you get over a 3, there's not any process for you to resubmit to the evaluator to get a 5. Now, with that being said, if you get less than what you anticipate, it's okay to ask why. So if you thought that you had nailed a 4 and you got a 3.5, and you really want to, I'm not saying disagree or argue or anything like that, but you just want clarification on why it wasn't a 4, you contact me and I can go through the chain of command and get that to the evaluator, and then it'll come back through the chain of command. Once again, I do not know who your evaluator is, so it's not like I could call them up and ask them myself, but we'll iron that out. I just went ahead and tell you that. I'm not trying to set anybody up for anything. I just went ahead and tell you that because inevitably it happens just about every semester. Okay, so getting back to the task here, no pun intended. Getting back to the task. All right, so you submit your ABSL, and at that point in time, you also will notice that you have something called a competency analysis and a School of Ed disposition. Well, what's that? Okay, remember when we just talked about task 5 in the ABSL, where you reflect on different competencies? Well, you're going to be asked to share those reflections in another venue, and that venue is the competency analysis. So you click on the competency analysis, and there is a form that you complete, and I'm not going to click on it, but basically what it is, it gives each of the competencies, the 21 competencies, and it asks you to determine what level you are at, whether you are met it or needed improvement or exceeded expectations. I believe it's needs improvement, meets expectations, or exceeds expectations. And below that is a text box. And that's where you can go in and you can put in narration. So it's basically a self-assessment about where you're at right now in the program. So if you're looking at the competency of leadership, do you need to improve in that area? Did you meet expectations in that area? And that's all on you. That's not based on anything I said. It's not based on any grades you received in the ABSL. It's just you reflecting on your growth. Think of it this way. Think of the ABSL as checking your proficiency, and the competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition is showing growth. So it's okay if you did not meet expectations right now, because you have, some of you may have a little bit of experience as a school administrator. You may already be hired in an AP position, but you haven't had the experience of being a principal yet, or some of you an assistant principal yet. So you may exhibit leadership skills in the classroom as a teacher, and that's great. Some of the best leaders I know are still in the classroom. But think about this in the lens and in regards to being a school administrator. So you may not meet expectations, the expectations of the competency, not my expectations, but the expectations that you place on yourself. Where are you, and how do you want to grow in this program? So in that, you check whichever one you want to check. There's no grade with this. The only thing I do is I go in to make sure that you've addressed what you needed to address, and if you have, then I click meets requirements. Now, you will do this, I was just talking about the competency analysis, you will do this in 601 right now, reflecting on those competencies, and again in 605. That's the only 2 times that you do this competency analysis. And what the goal is that you show growth in all of those competencies from 601 to 605. If you'll notice, at 602, the only thing you do is turn in the ABSL. That's why this is really the most challenging of all semesters, because you got quite a bit to do here. It lightens up after 601. So you go through the competencies, you select where you feel like you're at that point in time, and then you can copy and paste from your task 5 reflections straight into this. So it's not recreating, it's not retyping, it's not coming up with any new thoughts on the matter. It's whatever you put in task 5 as far as the reflection goes is applicable to the competency analysis. Well, what if you have, what if there's conflict resolution there? You didn't engage in that in the APSL. You didn't write anything about it in task 5 of the APSL. So you really haven't experienced anything in that regards. And I'm just using conflict resolution as an example. If you don't feel like you've done anything of that, then click needs improvement, and that's okay, because this is just a self-assessment, a reflective tool for you to use to say, okay, in a positive, not in a negative critical fashion, but just in having those critical conversations with yourself is what you need to improve in. And if you click needs improved, that is no signal to anybody that you're just doing. It's just something that you haven't felt like you've had the opportunity to grow in that. So that's the competency analysis. So, and that comes straight from that reflection in task 5. Now, at the end of the program, when you do this again, you will have engaged all of those competencies in multiple fashions. And then you can show, what we're going to show is we're going to show growth from 601 to 605. Any questions on the competency analysis? When does that have to be done? Don't worry about it right now. The goal and the priority first is to get your APSL completed and ready to go to task stream. If you get that done within a timely manner, from direction of Dr. Todd, then when you do that, then you will have plenty of time to go in here and do this. And once again, you can't put anything in a competency analysis until you finish task 5 anyway. Okay, the other self-assessment is called the School of Ed dispositions. And as a dispositional leader, where are you at in those regards now? And that's kind of talking, coming from more from the North Carolina School Executive Standards, some other things that we haven't mentioned yet. And that's just the self-assessment. You don't even put any dialogue or any text in it. You just click met or not met, met or not met, met or not met. Just wherever you feel like you're at right now is some additional dispositions of the leader. So the competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition is basically you just reflecting on where you're at. And as you will address the School of Ed dispositions again in 603 and finally in 605. So once again, the competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition is just a place for you to show how you have grown as a leader. You're going to show competence through the APSL, the APTL, the OMA, so on and so forth, that you're proficient in those areas. But now we're going to show growth with the competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition. So in the DRF, before you finish this semester, you're going to upload your APSL, task 1 through 5, as a final document, as a complete document, as a whole document. I know Dr. Todd has gone over that with you. And you're going to complete the competency analysis. And you're going to complete the competency analysis. You are going to use the reflections that you wrote up in task 5. And then you're going to take the self-assessment School of Ed dispositions. And you will be done in regards to the DRF for this semester. Any questions? Okay, now if you want to go in here and you get curious and you're going to pop these up, don't. Wait till you get your APSL done, because once you pull up these forms, if you, I think you can actually maybe look at it without hitting anything, but if you accidentally hit it, then it's going to go to be evaluated. So kind of like this last little section here for the internship log. If you remember, I say do not put anything there or click on anything there until the end of the program, because if you do, it locks it and it can only be unlocked by the evaluator. And if we do that, it takes some time and getting it unlocked, just for the very nature too that evaluators may not even be online at this point in time. So it may be a while because they're not expecting anything, certainly in regards to internship log. Maybe a while before they see it before they can unlock it. So it's just best not to do that. Okay, once you finish your APSL, you upload it here and you're waiting on evaluation, you can go ahead and complete the competency analysis in the School of Ed dispositions. If you have any questions about those two things, reach out to me. You don't need to worry about it right now. As I said, two priorities. One is to get the APSL completed. The second priority is your competency folio. We've already talked about that. Now, if you remember, you access the competency folio by clicking on this folio and web pages banner up at the top. And you should have, I've got texts, or excuse me, emails from many of you where you've created your competency folio. Some of you still need to let me know that you've created your competency folio. We ran into some issues. We ran into some people who task stream account hadn't been set up yet. We ran into some email issues, so where the email wasn't flowing correctly, and that was a delay in getting some of these things set up. So if that happens to you, send me an email and we'll get it resolved. Everything that I know that was on the board right now has been resolved. So if you have not set up your competency folio, you haven't created your competency folio, you need to do that. If you will remember, there is a, I don't think I've got my internship shell pulled up. Let me pull that up. If you'll remember, in my internship shell, in the video library, there is a short 2-minute video here that shows you how to set up your competency folio. Okay, so just watch that, and it's relatively simple. If you have any issues with it, it may not be you, it may be the system. So like I said, if there's a glitch in some form or fashion, get in touch with me and let me know. Okay, now this is one that I created as a sample. What you do here is there's really no writing or no narrative that needs to go here. You take the competency that is connected to the APSL, in this case, communication, change management, conflict management, creative thinking. And I think that's where we cut out. Yeah, that's where we cut out. Now there's some on down through here, so don't just stop here. You need to explore all of these and find out which ones are applicable to the APSL. And you just upload an artifact. Now you can change the color, you can change the font, you can change the style on this. Make it look really pretty, real professional, because like I told you before, at the end of the day, this is your property. If you want to send it ahead of time to somebody you're interviewing with and let them take a look at it, it is your professional portfolio that shows evidence of the things that you did and created inside of the MELS program. So you can change all that, make it look really professional, make it your own. But then you upload those artifacts. If you want to put a caption underneath them just to tell what they are, or an explanation, like for example, let's say you got a picture of you leading the PLC group, and caption could be, you know, candidate facilitating the PLC data analysis. Just let the person who's looking at these and evaluating these know where they're at. So you will load all of these up, and you can go ahead and start working on that now if you want to. At the end of the semester, before the end of the semester, I will need you and will ask you to go and upload all of the artifacts that are applicable for the APSL in each of the competencies that are correlated to the APSL. Once you've done that, you only have to do only one artifact. Somebody asked in a cohort, can I do more? Yes, you can do more, but the requirement is only one. Because the minimum you have to have here for each of these competencies are 3 artifacts. One of them from the APSL, one of them from another evidence that you'll be doing later on called the SIAP, and then one's a wild card. One is whatever that you have done outside of the program and some of your other capacities in your building that you would like to highlight. And I think I've told people it could be you addressing somebody at the back to school night, you leading the school leadership team, something else that you've done. If you have done a training, professional day, if you've done PSYOP training or iStation training, not you sitting there as a participant, but you facilitating the meeting and want to show evidence of some kind of presentation or video that you've done, that would be a good candidate for open-ended if it correlates to whatever competency you're thinking about. But anyway, right now, for each of these over here that are connected to the ABSL, I just want one evidence. If you want to put in more, you can. Once you put in all that you want, you go over here and you click request comment. Do not click publish or share. If you want to, that's just like YouTube or texting. If you want to share something with somebody, you can use that. You don't need to share that with me. You just need to, you're seeking my comments. You just don't want it to give it to me as view only. You want to show it to me as me giving you feedback on it. So if you're going, once you get this all polished up, you get it the way you want it, you're going for an interview, you want to send it to the principal that's interviewing you, this is when you would use the public share. You could share that to the person that you want to have access that might be interviewing you for a position, if that's what you choose to do. You don't have to, it's just an option for you. Once you get everything there, you hit request comments, and then you find my name. And like I said, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. You click here on all, make a note of all the competencies that you've uploaded artifacts to, and then come back here and click on the competencies that you have put in artifacts. Now, true or false question. Okay, so this is probably the only quiz that I'm going to give you because it is near and dear to my heart. Is true or false? Do you click request comment on all areas? True or false? Anybody that did this gets 100, and you can turn me off and go get supper or whatever you want to do right now. Please, please do not do this. This is, if you want to punish me, then do it, but please don't do that, because then I have to go through all of these. Just click on the ones that you left artifacts to. Once you've done that, you click continue. I'm going to unclick all of these. Oh, and here's another thing. If you just want general comments, you can click on this, and that's just for the very title. If you just want some general comments, or if you want to leave a comment for me, you can do that here as well. Click continue. Okay, let me make a selection first. It's being persnickety, as Grandpa used to say. All right. All right, and you find my name. Could be the only name on here, could be in the middle of a bunch of them. You click my name, and then you click continue, and it will send notification to me that you've requested comments on the competencies that you've highlighted. What I'll do at that time is I'll go through and I'll make sure that you've addressed all that need to be addressed with the ABSL. I'll look at your artifact. I'll make sure I can understand what the artifact is, why you're showing it in relationship to this particular competency. And then I will let you know, I'll give you feedback like evidence is correlated to the competency, or artifacts meets requirements of evidence for leadership, or something like that. If I don't get the connection, or I don't see where it's an evidence of your leadership in that particular competency, I will let you know. You'll get the chance to revise that, or we'll have a conversation about it. So 2 priorities: get the ABSL finished and upload it into your DRF, and begin to put these artifacts into your competency folio in regards to the ABSL. As far as the DRF goes, I'm going to come back to that real quick. The competency analysis and the School of Ed disposition, it really shouldn't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes to do either of them. 15 minutes, and that's just a matter of dragging and pasting, or copying and pasting from your Task 5 reflection. And give serious thought to where you are at each one, but it's not time intrusive, really. So those 2 can really be the last couple of things that you do by the end of the semester. Once we get forward a little bit, we're in week 6. Probably in a few weeks, I'll send you out, okay, this is a good time for you to begin or have completed, and I'll kind of guide that. I'll monitor it, seeing who's wrapping it up, who hasn't. If I have any concerns in regards to the timeline, not concerns about your work ethic, but just about concerns with you being on a good timeline to finish, I'll contact you individually. So that's basically all that I've got tonight. Internship logs. Sorry, internship logs. Just as a reminder, if you want comments on your internship log, then there's a place in your competency folio that you can upload your internship logs, and I will give you feedback on them then, right there. If before we get to that point, if you want to get feedback on your internship log outside of this platform, just email it to me. I'll take a look at it and see if you're on the right track or not. You do not have to do anything with digital learning competencies. As I said before, those are embedded in each of these. If you need DLC credit, I've also mentioned this to all the cohorts. If you need DLC credit, then whoever your lead technology instructional facilitator is, go to them. And if you need my help, I'll speak with them. But go to them and show them what you're doing, and see if you can get DLC credit for some of these different things that you're going to be highlighting. You know, just for an example, let's say you do a Google Doc. Let's say you do a Google Doc or Canvas. Let's say you do a Canvas with your PLC on some of the things that you guys are working on. Let's say you go into Google Forms and create a survey through Google Forms to get some qualitative or quantitative data on something, kind of needs assessment or something you're doing for some of these artifacts, and you think you might be able to get DLC credit for that. Talk to your technology facilitator and see. I know at least one candidate, not last semester, semester before, that knocked out all of their DLC credit by doing that in their competency folio. Just for the nature of setting up and creating a competency folio and uploaded artifacts into it could be a DLC credit as well. So it doesn't hurt to ask. I check into it and see. Excuse me. So that's kind of all that I've got this evening. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I didn't see anything pop up on the chat box. So is there anything that I can help you with, or any questions that you have this evening? Okay, groovy, groovy. As always, if you have a question, let me know. It'll be a while before we meet again. So if you want an individual Zoom or a small group Zoom, contact me. We'll set it up. Email me with questions. Is there anything you think I can help you with? Just let me know. I hope you all stay safe. God bless you all, and I hope you stay healthy, and I hope your family is safe and healthy. We'll just see you next time. Have a great evening.